this art talk for this month's art walk is we wanted to focus on two of our very own artists who made it to the De Young Museum. Sorry, let me just keep. Was in that? No noise in the background. Who made it into the De Young Museum's exhibition, the De Young Open exhibition. So this is the 250th anniversary, I believe. And we're fortunate to have Yolanda and Zoe who entered the exhibition and were accepted. So it's a bit different to say you entered an exhibition. Sorry, let me just do some noise control. Jones, you can't stop making noise now. You had all the time in the world. Go to your room. Both of you, go to your room. I mean, they literally had all evening. Where
Daddy has spoken.
Anyway, so I'm so happy to welcome Yolanda and Zoe, Yolanda Cotton Turner and Zoë Boston to this chat. And it's such a great celebration in such a dark time to see that artists have given us something to look forward to. And this is your efforts in entering this exhibition. I was just reflecting on it and realizing that, wait a minute, if artists had collectively said, no, we're not entering that show, would the museum have had a show? I don't think so. You know, it would have been a totally different dynamic. So I'm here to celebrate you. If anybody else wants to join me, they're most welcome to. And with that being said, I will leave it up to Zoe and Yolanda to begin by introductions, and we can dive straight into the questions that I posed. Of course, you may not choose to answer the questions, but what I would like to address or talk about is what made you really enter that show and how does it feel? But that being said, if you have something else to say to people today, then this is your platform. Sometimes we restrict ourselves to boxes and don't get the chance to say, you know what, I'm just tired. I don't want to talk about no show. I'm just tired. You know, sometimes we need to vent. So with that being said, welcome Zoe and Yolanda. And I will start with you, Zoe. And could you introduce yourself and let us know what you do, who you are, where you are? Yeah, take it away, Zoe.
Okay, can you hear me okay?
I can hear you.
Okay, so my name is Zoë Boston. I am a singer, songwriter, painter, muralist, all of the above mixed together. Just all around creative person. I grew up in upstate New York and I moved to Oakland, California about 6 years ago for better opportunities, and so far I've had better opportunities. My work, if I were to describe my work, I'd say it's kind of Afrofuturistic with a hint of surrealism. But everything that I paint has a message behind it, and usually those messages come from lessons learned, whether good or bad, hard times, epiphanies, yeah. And I usually use my work to express myself because I don't know, I don't feel like I'm like the most eloquent speaker or talker or anything like that. And so I usually am the type to sit and observe, and what I observe is what goes into my art. Oh yeah. You also asked what made us enter the show, or is that later? We're asking that later.
Let's just go to Yolanda so she can introduce herself more like
Okay.
you did. That way we can begin to level it off. I'm excited that you want to jump right in, so just put it on pause. Thanks so much, Zoe.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm Yolanda Cotton Turner. I'm a fine art printmaker. I have done a lot of relief work in printmaking in the past, I don't know, so many years, 10 years or so. but I find that recently I'm kind of focused more on lithography, which is what initially made me fall in love with printmaking in the first place. I went to Cal State Hayward, and so that was my major, printmaking. It was actually initially music, vocal, but I found that even though Cal State Hayward was really strong in their music department, it wasn't the program that I was looking for. So I decided to go back a little bit and pull on my first love, which was visual arts. And I was curious about their printmaking program, and I called the office and I said, tell me about this lithography class. It uses a stone. Tell me a little bit about that. And they described it to me, and I was like, wow, that sounds like something I really want to try. And from that first print that I pulled, I was in love. That first process, that first print. And I've loved it ever since. I work out of Blank Page Studios in East Oakland. I'm a West Oakland native. Yeah, what else you want to know?
That's awesome. Well, thanks so much for giving us a good intro into it. I always like it when people give us that point of engagement where you fell in love with something. So
yeah.
And I'm pretty sure there'll be many questions. We'll open up the floor as soon as we can, so that we engage more fully with the audience. So thank you to you both. And so I'll go back to you, Zoe, and ask what made you want to enter the young exhibit? What was the driving force?
Oh man. Okay. So where did we start? So I think I heard about the exhibit, or the call to artists maybe a month or two before the deadline, and I was like, okay, sounds cool. It's like, it's gonna be a lot of artists. Should I really do this? Is it worth it? I kind of let it sit, and then a lot of things going on in the media and with the death of George Floyd, and just how it was impacting me was overwhelming. And I knew that I needed to express something in my own time, in my own way. And as I was looking over the guidelines for the submission, I saw that the theme was on the edge. And they were saying, whether you're talking about literally being on the edge, of the country, or, just how you're feeling at the moment, dealing with coronavirus. And it kind of sparked an idea in me to paint something that expressed how I was feeling currently, which was on the edge, emotionally overwhelmed with the situation of this world right now. And then I believe it was in a dream, I got the idea to, like, the visual of what I was going to paint. From there, I kind of let it sit for a little while longer, because I didn't know the words I was going to put on the mask. I didn't know. So then I think maybe a week before the deadline, I got the words to say came to me, and I just put paint to the canvas. I just got it. So the driving force for me was expressing how I felt as an artist. I feel like that's important. We are a reflection of the times, and I wanted to express my voice and my opinion, because I valued that. I had this feeling, like I was like, okay, this piece is so powerful to me, and with submitting this, I felt like I did my due diligence. I feel like God was going to take the rest and take it from there. So I hope that answered the question.
Well, there can't be a question if there's no answer, so that's a beautiful answer to it. And there are a few points I would like to get back on, which are, firstly, what you said about how many artists are entering and your hesitation to entering it, and also everything going on around, but also that small nudge that when you read that, it was about being on the edge. that pushed you all the way to actually doing it. So that would be great. We'll get back to that and dig more into that self-reflection when you look at something and you say, well, there are too many fish in the sea, so therefore I'm not a fish. We'll get back to that story. All right, Yolanda, on to you. What was the driving force for you to enter this show?
Yeah, so I heard about it, that they were going to do it, and I was waiting for. I started letting some artists know, hey, the D Young is going to be doing this for East Bay artists, which is not something they do all the time, and just kind of making fellow artists alert to it. And then once they announced that the application time frame and all of that, and had a site, then I was like, okay, and I started blasting it out to everybody. Hey, the D Young is, everybody should submit. If you want to submit, now's the time. And then Cheryl happened to mention in one of my posts, she was like, well, I hope that you're going to submit. And I was like, that's all I needed was a nomination, just somebody to suggest it. But I swear, before I didn't even think that I should, I don't know, it just didn't come to me, but I was all about sharing that everybody else should. So Cheryl's suggestion made me think, hey, wait a minute, maybe I should. As Zoe said, the theme was On the Edge, which I think was pretty edgy and an interesting theme. And it was they stated that it was loose, however you want to interpret, on the edge. And I'm thinking we're all on the edge right now. Society is on the edge in a lot of different ways. And that's a very timely theme. And let's see if I have something that might fit that. I wasn't going to create a piece specifically for it, but if I had something, I was going to submit it just to see what happened, just to see. And then I have this one piece that I thought would fit that theme. And then the next obstacle was the application process. If I started submitting it and it was just going to be like this lengthy, drawn out process, I probably wouldn't have gone through with it. But it was pretty easy and pretty simple. Upload a photo. Of course, the photo has to be certain quality, size, all that. Give some basic information and submit. We were allowed 2 submissions, I believe. I didn't have another one to submit. I was like, I don't know if I have anything else that might fit that theme, but I had one that I felt very strongly about, and I sat with it for a minute. And I really felt, I read through everything and I really felt like this would be the one. So I went ahead and submitted it. Easy breezy. Oh, let me tell you. So actually I reached the deadline and I hadn't uploaded the photo yet. I got all the basic information in there. And the next day I was like, damn, I didn't finish it. I was like, oh, well, they're not going to consider me. And then they sent an email about a week later, said, oh, something must have happened. Your photo didn't upload. Here's the link. Go ahead and upload. I'm like, oh, wow, I have another chance. Okay. So I went ahead and uploaded it and then waited. I can't remember exactly how long we waited, but it was about a month's time, I guess. And then I got the email. I was like, you have been accepted. I'm like, what? I never would have imagined it. I just submitted just because Cheryl suggested it. So thanks, Cheryl.
Wow, this is turning out to be so beautiful. I just love the idea that the nudge from somebody else close to you makes you act in such a profound manner. Meanwhile, you were already doing the work. You were informing other artists, you were spreading the word, but so selflessly and in the true sense of the word, that you were not even considering yourself as part of that process until somebody nudged you. So thank you, Cheryl, for that. That's such a beautiful illustration of how a community functions, saying, hey, you're here too. And you can, that's so beautifully put. So I'm just going to circle to Zoe before I open it up for the next question. I don't know if I should do questions now. Do people feel like they have questions right now, or should we go into the second and third question? How do people feel in the room? Questions now? Yay? No questions? Okay. All right, cool. So Zoe, I just circle back to the point where you said, no, there are too many artists. Was it the size of the young that made you feel like you wouldn't stand out or be chosen in that exhibition?
It was definitely the size, and also initially I didn't have any art that specifically fit the theme. So I was kind of like, well, it doesn't hurt, but I was like, we'll see. It wasn't like, oh yeah, I know if I do this, I'm gonna be a shoo-in. It's like East Bay artists, there's a lot of amazingly talented East Bay artists. And so it's just like, okay, like you could be great, you could be excellent and still not make it into the show. And so that's kind of where it was at. It was like, well, what are my odds? What are the chances? That was definitely my initial deterrent. And then also just with everything that was going on at the time, I was emotionally and mentally exhausted. And it was kind of just like, I kind of rather just sit here, like, do I really want to do this? I need to lay down, I need to do my self-care. Do I really need to put the rest of my mental energy into creating something or trying to get something going for this show? That's what initially kind of deterred me from submitting. But then it all the idea just came to me. I was like, oh my goodness, I have to do this. This is exactly perfect. This is exactly how I feel. This is exactly what I know God wants me to say. And it fits the theme in multiple ways. And so that's what pushed me to do it.
All right, awesome. All right, so now that we're in the show, right? Your name is now attached for life with the Young Museum. How does it feel now that you're one of those artists who was shown in the Young Museum? You are part of the Young now. You can say, "Oh yeah, I've shown there." How does that feel,
right,
Yolanda? Well, let's start with you.
I mean,
oh, Zoe's ready to go. Go, Zoe.
Yeah, go ahead, Zoe.
Oh no, she can't
go. You go ahead, Zoe. You go.
Okay. I mean, honestly, I feel like it's still setting in. Like, I think when I actually get to that moment where we're at the show, it'll be like everything will kind of like really set in. But just knowing that there were over 11,000 submissions and they picked less than 8% of that, like that to me is amazing. I feel like, what's meant for you is for you. Like I said, like it had to do with talent, but at the same time it didn't, because I'm sure it was, like I said, a lot of talented artists that didn't get picked. So I'm extremely thankful. I give credit to God, like, because he gave me the idea. And yeah, just knowing that my name is attached to the D Young now, like forever, that's like, especially at such a young age, I feel blessed and fortunate and optimistic and excited for what comes from that, what comes after that. Yeah, I feel like this is definitely a moment in my art career that's definitely like a huge stepping stone. Definitely a moment that I will always remember. So
beautiful. I hope you guys are recording this because I would love young artists to see this journey of getting into a major exhibition and the thinking behind it, the mental process of self-doubt, holding back, and then the final catalyst that makes you jump on it and go. But now imagine you're going to be talking to a young artist and say, when I entered the young museum exhibition, when I entered it, and they'll be looking at you like, wow, you know. So thank you so much for sharing those deeper inner journeys that you went through. Yolanda, so now that you're in there, now Yolanda Cotton Turner is married to the DeYoung name. How does that feel? How does that change your perception of self?
It makes me feel as if I'm aligned. Uh-oh. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can.
Okay, great. It makes me feel as if I'm aligned. As I kind of, was reading through everything and thinking about which piece I was going to submit, like Zoe said, it's about skill and talent, but it was about more than that. And that's kind of the feel that I had from the description, and I guess even more so, what I had hoped for. I had hoped that the DeYoung was really going to be really looking at the broad spectrum of artists that the Bay Area has to offer and the messages that they had to express. And I felt that I was in line with that. So now I have this confidence that I'm able to hear the signs, the signals from other places, and that I can respond to that properly and in a way that benefits me and my community.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, and I need to go ahead and update my bio and CV. But I feel I'm happy that I challenged the DeYoung to be about the community, the Bay Area community, and to really amplify the messages that we have to say and express. So I feel great that I challenged them, and I'm happy that they're showing that there's people that they're reaching out to in the community that maybe they wouldn't normally have reached out to on an average day.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much both for those responses. I'd just like to recap on a couple of points I picked up. One was the community, working within a community, providing that service to a community. There, Yolanda, you were doing your thing, letting other people know, and you had a guardian. Cheryl was looking over you, and then at the right moment nudged you to say, "What about you?" And here we are, changing the trajectory, because you do so much work for the community. This thing that you carry, the name that you carry, and this experience is obviously gonna impact more people. So I'm just so thrilled that you're part of this, because you're bigger than the individual exemplifies you to be.
Yeah, and thank you, Victor. Yeah, and I'm glad that I'm in it with Zoe. I've seen Zoe and her work and her activity and just going at her whole art career, and I believe that that's changing a little bit now, Zoe, if I'm not mistaken, from just what I've read in your post. But really, I'm just happy that we're doing this together.
Beautiful.
Likewise.
Yeah.
All right. Excited. So I'm not going to ask any more questions because we've already done 30 minutes of talking between us. What I'm going to do is open the floor. If Cheryl, I'm afraid to say you've been put on the spot. We're going to go to you first and ask if you've got any comments, anything you want to say. So I'm going to unmute everybody and just see how this will work. If it doesn't work, then I'll just mute everybody. But please don't take this personally. It's just a Zoom thing. It's not me. Okay, so feel free to unmute yourself, or I will ask you to unmute. Oh, I actually muted people. Okay, Cheryl, you're unmuted. You can go on.
Are you talking about me, Yolanda?
Yes, I am.
Oh my God, unbelievable. I don't even, I mean, I'm impressed, of course, with your art, but it's so, it feels so good to hear you say that, you know, because you say, you know, I had no idea that a simple comment would have such power. And I
Yes.
think be so, we need to be, it's just so gratifying to hear you say that, you know. And it's
Thank
very
you, Cheryl.
simple acts, isn't it? It's just these simple acts of genuine
It is.
kindness. Just, not even kindness, just genuine, just being genuine, you know. And you know,
Right.
power that carries, you know.
Yeah.
So thank you for sharing that. Love you. And Zoe, you're so young, and I'm so thrilled that you are recognized at such a young age. My question to you is, how did you get started in art? I have grandkids who are potential great artists, and I think, what is it that they need to really, you know?
Oh, man, that's a good question.
Yeah.
So I have been drawing for as long as I can remember.
Mm-hmm.
I say it's a gift from God. When I moved out to the Bay Area, so I came out here to visit and then decided to stay while I was visiting. And so I didn't have a lot of things with me because I wasn't planning to move out here when I came to visit. So the first thing I was able to get my hands on as far as art supplies was paint. It was inexpensive paint from like Walmart. And so my first actual time painting was about 6 years ago when I moved out here. And I just fell in love with it. It was way more liberating and vibrant to me than drawing. And I just kept at it. Like I wasn't bad at it, but I wasn't like as good as I am now. And so I would say for a young person, my advice would be if it's something that you're really passionate about, because that's very important. If you're not passionate about it, you really shouldn't do it. In my opinion, you should find your passion and pursue that, even when it's hard, even when, you know, it's not popular or not the trend. You just keep working at it, keep going, keep developing. I feel like you have to have a certain type of drive to always want to get better. At least for me, I just like to always get better. So yeah, that's how I started and why I kept going. It's a passion for me and a drive.
Was there something about the Bay Area itself that sort of, because you came here as a visitor, and it sounds like you found you. I mean, you had the passion, but the commitment, the commitment to it seems to have come from being in the Bay Area. I'm not from the Bay Area. I'm God knows where I'm from. I don't even know. But it sounds like there was something that I found coming here just 10 years ago as an elder. I found inspiring, you know. But I'm wondering, from your point of view as a young person, was there something about the Bay Area that we can, you know, I don't know.
Well, so I came here initially to be a part of a group of individuals, artistic individuals, for a better opportunity from where I was from, because where I was from wasn't a lot going on. It was a very small town. Opportunities weren't there like that. And I was actually born in Los Angeles. And like since I was younger, I always knew that I was going to come back to California. I didn't know when or where, why or how, but I knew it was going to happen. And so when I got the opportunity to be a part of that group, I took that opportunity and I stayed. So that's why I came to California.
I have a question for you.
Well,
Sorry. So we talked.
Takes courage.
Yolanda talked a little bit about her medium and technique and why she's drawn to it. Do you have a favorite medium, or what's your favorite medium to work in and why?
As of right now, my favorite medium is acrylics. I work in acrylics. That's what I first got my hands on when I moved out here. And like I was saying before, it's a lot more liberating than drawing, and also it dries quickly, so you don't have to sit there and wait for a long time. That's my favorite medium. I mean, also I sing and write, so I use that sometimes to express myself, but overall, I'd say acrylic paint. I'd like to get into oils, though. I want to experiment. So I love detail, so.
Yeah. I was looking at your work, and I really like your combination of like complex backgrounds or backgrounds that have a feeling, and then you add in the geometric shapes to create like an item or an animal or a person. I really like that contrast of using the shapes, the geometric shape, and then pitted against a like beautiful background or beautiful colors or patterns. I like that. Do you have any idea of where your inspiration came from for using those, that contrast or those elements?
Are you referring to like the kind of the symbols I use in my work?
Gold is one of them. Yeah. So, what were we looking at? So like this one. That's one, and then the elephant with the background. Where's that? This one is really.
It should be showing you what's going on with the artist.
Oh, yes. So that one is like, it's kind of a surrealistic landscape, and if you look really closely, there's a woman in red walking.
Oh, yeah.
But the reason when I use those certain colors because I use red to represent passion and fire and just keeping going. Like the woman, basically the name of that one, I believe it was, I think it's called, oh goodness, I think it's called Keep Going, yeah. So it's basically like showing that life, so the desert represents life, and life is a journey. And, sometimes the main factor of success or getting to where you're trying to go is to keep going, like even when things get harder. But for the gold symbolism, I use it in a lot of my work, and it represents, depending on how I use it, represents like prayers or good energy. Sometimes it represents like an angelic or supernatural language. Sometimes it represents like protection. So I kind of interchange it between, what I'm trying to express with each piece. So in that desert scene, that one was like a prayer, like she's praying as she's walking. And then with the woman with the symbols, that one represents, God taking your stories or your bad things and turning them into beautiful stripes, for the world to see or to help, the next person. So that's how I use them in those pieces.
Nice.
All right. Well, thanks so much. May I ask people to connect after this chat, because one of my wishes is that people connect more deeply and carry on the conversation after this. It doesn't have to be Zoom that makes us talk so deeply and really get to know each other. So I see a beautiful conversation going there. I hope Zoe and say, is that
it's Sarah. It's Sarah. That's how my family pronounces my name. That's why it says Sarah, but it's actually Sarah.
I hope you guys carry on that conversation, and anyone else. This is really beautiful, getting to know, the process and where you people came from, and what the spark was. When did you first fall in love? For example, in Yolanda's case, I believe ArtPush has a question. I have no idea who that guy is.
I have a question because I wanna understand the print that Yolanda did. I want to understand what the setting is, who's in it, when it was taken, what it's about, all of it. I want to understand that picture.
So it's a photo transfer onto limestone. It's kind of a collage of different photos involved in that. The main, or the in the forefront is the breakfast program of the Black Panthers, and it's really about the connection between the older men in the community and the young boys, and how important that connection is in our development and in our success in going forward. In the image, the elder, he has like this kind of white area within his head, which is supposed to be kind of a representation of the universe, which is a couple of planets and just kind of this open area that you're getting a peek into his mind, and he has his universe that is his domain, and he's talking to this young person, this boy, who is, you can kind of see just the beginning of his universe in his mind. And so his is developing, and you can see this direct connection between the two, where the boy is getting valuable information from the elder. You have other children there, other boys who have different interactions with the message that's being conveyed or expressed there at that moment. The whole idea that to wake up and start your day with knowledge is just as it's essential nourishment, just as breakfast is. And in the background, you have a scene of the bay. That's actually, if you stand on the Fruitvale Bridge at the estuary, looking towards West Oakland, that's what you're looking at. You've got ports there, you've got gantry cranes, you've got commerce. It's the city's way of, bringing in money and that transaction. It's about, how we survive economically as a community in Oakland, but also as a Black community. Is talking about the economic focus of that and how important that is to us sustaining.
Can you elaborate a little bit more on what the Black Panther lunch program is? And like, I guess the Black Panthers put on a lunch program in what, the 70s or something? I don't know anything about that.
Howard does. You should talk about that.
Can you elaborate more on that?
Come on, Howard.
Yo, Yolanda, where did you go? Oh, there you are. Can you tell me a little bit about why you put that? I mean, like, how are you affiliated with it? Did you know those people?
I didn't know those people, no. But it being from Oakland, it's always been a powerful background part of my history.
Okay.
And I feel strongly about, what they were trying to do. I mean, how important is that you see a need in your community and you address that you say, hey, there's, all this, issues with our system that keep us down, but we're going to start addressing that. We're going to start fixing that without help from anybody. We're going to make sure that we're good.
And how did you know that that's what the image was about? Like, where did you find it?
I found it, somebody gave it to me. I don't know where they got it from. And I've been trying to find out a little bit more about the background of that particular photo. If anybody has any information.
It's a beautiful image.
Yeah, it is. It really is. And I had to do something with it. So I translated it through lithography, which I felt was really appropriate, being that it's a heavy piece of stone. I mean, the image to me was so deep and heavy. It's like, okay, this is, and the image that you get from the limestone, it has a emotion, a value to it that I just felt would really do it justice.
I didn't mean to interrupt, but I do want to hear what Howard has to say about it too.
Yeah, no. I want to hear what Howard has to say.
He's just gone off to find a reference. He's gone downstairs. He said, "Oh, I've got something I want to share." So
all right, cool. We can come back to it then.
Back.
All right.
So of course, he knows all about it.
Well, awesome. I'm
for
glad
clarifying that, Yolanda.
Yeah.
I'm glad this is really turning out to be. Sorry, I'm just reading a message to David from everybody. If anybody cares, I got a phone call from AC Alert. The electric company is soon to start a rolling hour-long blackout because of the hot weather. So if you're in Alameda, look out. Thanks so much for that, David. Please be on the lookout for the blackout. That's what it's about. I was speaking to a friend earlier about how the virus has turned us more into community-oriented, humbled individuals who want to connect and give. That's who we are, that's deep down, that's who we are. That's where we come from. And here I see the remnants of that and the power of community in action. When I hear the story of Cheryl and Yolanda, and now because of that, of your nudge, Cheryl, we're hearing about the Black Panthers. We're diving deep into the history of the Black Panthers, but not only that, but also conversation about the universe. So, and Cheryl, I want to go back to your point where you said, oh, I didn't know the power of that, of that statement. But here we are. I'm now engaged with it. I'm now involved with it because you did something about it. And so I just want to reflect on that, the power of the individual to influence in ways we can't even fathom, Right. Suddenly you have this group of people and more to come who will watch this because of actions you took. So I just want to acknowledge that fully and also acknowledge the artists for agreeing to do this, which is the other part of it. Like, this is your time. This is your resources that you chose and agreed to do this on. So I just want to acknowledge that in case I forget to do that before the end of this call. But my wish is that I've suffered a lot from low self-esteem. And of course, it's part of the system. The less I feel about myself, the easier I can be used and abused, And it's beautiful to share and document the story that we see ourselves as lesser, but then when we take that small action, we change the world, technically. So I just wanted to share those reflections because these stories are so powerful and so diverse. Diving into the universe, Black Panthers, all the way to Faith and the young, the pandemic. Look at what beauty can come out of a hostile situation. Yeah, so I'll leave it there as the host and let the conversation roll on. Anyone want to add more?
Well, I think all too often we think that our actions have to be big, or they have to, be public, or they have to involve tremendous effort. And I think we undervalue the power of very small, just very small, human, authentic, connection. It's all about connection and how I think Yolanda's comment is just so powerful too, to actually say how something so small, really, something so small can have impact, and to spread that word so that we get more of these just small acts that don't take anything don't take a huge amount of effort. You don't have to devote your whole life to it. You don't have to spend the next year every day writing proposals and doing all kinds of giant things, you know, that small acts can be so powerful.
Well, let me show some pictures.
And Howard's got some
Yeah, I wanna
pictures now
show
from the
some-
Black
some-
Panther.
Well, from that period,
That
not so
period.
much the black, but this is one. This is from 1960. Can you see it?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah,
here's another one.
yeah,
Oh, wow. Wow.
yeah, yeah,
What is
Wow.
showing us?
yeah.
Howard, do you know, were you aware of the Black Panther school, what was it, school lunch program,
yeah.
or neighborhood lunch program?
I knew they
Yeah.
were doing it. I never
Yeah.
took any pictures of it. And then this is another one of
But the whole
housing,
program was about,
Oakland,
but
you
you
know.
can talk about the program, right?
Well, the Black Panthers started, it's sort of like Black Lives Matter. It was like a precursor to Black Lives Matter. It started because they were tired of the police shooting black people, you know, in Oakland. That's really where, and so they began to carry guns themselves. And when the police showed up in a situation that was difficult, they would be there watching, carrying their own weapons.
But that's what,
And a bunch of them actually took a trip. There was, what was it? There was an open carry, you know, you could carry weapons in California. And a bunch of Black Panthers went up to the legislature in Sacramento. And within a few weeks after that, they passed the law prohibiting open carry.
right.
You know, I have to say, like, I've heard a lot about the Black Panthers, and I've watched documentaries, and I'm like, I've always been the girl that like wanted to live in San Francisco in the 70s. So like Howard's like my idol. But them starting a lunch program, that is radical to me.
That's awesome.
Guys, it was a breakfast program.
Breakfast.
So that, so that they could eat before they went to school and their minds could be right.
Yeah.
Sorry, I just want to
This
interject,
is
Howie,
the sort of stuff that, that's the sort of thing that was going on back then.
Go on, Howie.
Yeah, I'm just saying that I happened to be around taking photos during the 60s. I didn't photograph the Black Panthers that much, to tell you the truth. I was more involved with like, with CORE and SNCC, the Student Nonviolent Coordinating Committee. And so that's what most of my photos are. But there was a lot of activity during that period. There were demonstrations in San Francisco, in Berkeley, and Oakland, because the only people hired in the stores, they were all white. This was as late as 1965, you know, in the 60s. If you went into a store in Berkeley or you know, the automobile dealerships in San Francisco, every single salesperson was white. And so there was a host of that. In fact, that's what started the whole student movement, was the fact that on the Berkeley campus, there was an active group of people who were raising funds and giving out leaflets and getting signatures and organizing demonstrations for fair employment and for support for voting rights in the South. And the business people locally were complaining about it. And so the administration at the university started to crack down on the students, and then that led to it led to the student movement starting in Berkeley, the free speech movement, and then similar movements all over the country.
All right. Thanks so much, Howie, for that. And, you know, the more we do these talks, the more I realize how rich our communities are. And can you see the trajectory this conversation took? It took us in so many rich directions, and I'm grateful for that. So thank you, Howard, for bringing that in. Thank you, Yolanda, for the photograph that sparked the conversation. Thank you to Zoe, who shared her work and gave an insight into what inspired her. But I want to pay attention to David. And and just
They've called off that power grid thing. It's stabilized.
Thank you, David.
Yeah.
You know, and I don't want to make you feel any less, David. I didn't mute you deliberately. So if you find yourself being muted, it wasn't.
Okay, I just wanted to say in 1 minute, I found this very inspiring and touching, and it inspires me, and I really appreciated your comment, Victor, about the low self-esteem. I'm an introvert, was forced a year ago to try to quit being that and reach out and join and learn the art community. So much of this is so new to me with the technology. I know some people like my stuff, but how I get it out there actually is a whole other long journey. And I hope that I can be in contact with some of you folks to learn and be a part of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, David. Thank you, David. It's really good to be validated as a community like that. And I just want you to know you're not alone.
Thank you.
I don't want to steal the limelight away from Zoe and Yolanda.
Oh, not at all, nor did I.
No. I want to go back to that because when I first came to America, I didn't know anybody. And the first gallery I showed in was Studio 23. And I carried a deer painting from London all the way to Studio 23. When I got to America, I put it on the back of a Honda Accord, Honda Fit, and because it didn't have a camera, it flipped and broke. But I was on my way to see the only people I knew, the only people who would give me a space, and that was Jessica and Wes, and so I'm saying all this to say you're in a good space. You're amongst good people. You're amongst very humble, helpful people. And I'm honored to be part of this community, and I'm happy that you found us. So we hope to see you when all this blows over.
Yeah,
so,
Jessica has been great. I have to give her a shout out for encouraging me. So thank you.
Beautiful, beautiful. All right, I'm gonna start tearing up. You know, many people. Why do you tear up so easily? Well, because I'm in touch with my emotions. The stuff you get people paying to tell you to get into touch with. So I just want to round it off by saying thank you so much to Zoe and Yolanda. You made this happen for us. We want to celebrate you in the best way we can in this time, and just hope that you go away from the night knowing that you're our heroes. And I choose to call you that because you're so humble about it. Yeah. Here you were, Yolanda, doing your thing, informing your community, feeding people as your image describes, and not even worrying about yourself. But as the universe has it, you had somebody looking over you in Cheryl. And here we are, all smiling. And Zoe, the way you're inspiring the younger generation, I've seen you work on murals. I'm just so happy that you made it into such a big establishment so early in your career, because I know that you won't leave anybody behind. I'm honored to have been the host for this Zoom chat. I want to thank you all for taking the time to be part of this. It always ends up being so much more than I ever anticipated it to be. And I hope you did hit the record button, because there were some gems in here. And so with that being said, it is 8:31. I'm British trained. I have to stick to the time we agreed on.
Can I make a quick announcement? There's a community art garden on Webster Street, and they're looking, it's all equality, civil rights focused, peace and love. So they're looking for artists to contribute. So I know Jess and Yolanda and I have done, Yolanda, I don't know if you have, I know Joanne has. You should put some pieces out there. I mean, they do need bigger pieces, but they're accepting anything, and they're turning it into a healing art garden and alfresco dining for the community. So
I'll message you.
Yeah, message me. And they have, the only thing you need to bring is like painting supplies or whatever. If you want, you can bring your own art over, or they have plywood in all kinds of shapes and sizes that is up for grabs as canvas. So, you know, just to...
I like to volunteer. Wesley and I have a box of acrylics. If anybody needs them to go to do that there too, let us know as well, and you can come by and pick them up from the studio.
Same. Dave and I are going to be there this weekend working on some new pieces, and we have spray paint, and we'll bring a bunch of acrylics, so, and paintbrushes and stuff. So you may want, we're just going to do it. I mean, it's pretty much open.
It's whenever you want.
Yeah, it's whenever you want.
Tomorrow?
No, it's not a scheduled event. It's just whenever you want. You can feel free to message me, and I can keep in touch with people. And you can find me on Facebook, Sarah Edge, or Art by Sarah Edge. And I can help connect you or, you know, coordinate with you. But we'd really like to fill out the garden. So it's because it was a really beautiful community event in that local gardeners came in and just transformed the parking lot into this beautiful succulent garden with aloe plants, and they painted hearts, and there's little sculptures. And it's just a really nice, lovely community effort. So I'd love to get more people involved and spread the word.
I missed where that was at, Sarah. Where is
Webster Street next to Fire Lounge.
Yeah, seen the,
Would something like this, a piece out of a sketchbook work? Like a page?
Sure. I mean,
it's outdoor, you just got to paint it on some wood.
Yeah, just paint it on some wood, or I think you can also hang it up on the community board.
Yeah, there's a community board with smaller pieces that are like 8.5 by 11 page size. So you can put that up on the community board.
And just a little background, that kind of, all that stuff started when they were boarding up because they were worried. But most of the work that started there, it's all Black Lives Matters. It's all, you know,
civil rights,
community-based work. And a lot of it was from wood. That was the artists did when they were boarding up the storefronts. A lot of artists did work out there to, you know, support the community, and they pulled it down. They said, hey, let's do something with this. So let's put it all in a community garden. So it's to kind of keep that and show it.
There's also links to ArtPush, and Sarah you can contact Sarah there as well. Artpush.org is listed on all of this stuff for the Second Friday Virtual Art Talks. So you can reach her through that too.
And I hear it's a great nonprofit arts community.
ArtPush.
ArtPush.
Something.
We love it.
work over there is just absolutely beautiful work.
Yeah, it's funny that you're pushing this art push and you're something freaky is happening. All right, people, I'd like to say thank you very much. I'm sorry about the disturbance in the house. That's what I.
Oh, they were doing disturbances. Charlie.
They were so cute.
Cute. Yeah.
I love the life that lives in your background.
Yeah.
Thank you, Victor.
Thank you, everyone, so much.
Thank you, Victor.
Thank you, Victor.
Another amazing job.
We love you, Victor. You did a great job.
Wonderful. Zoe, Yolanda, it was fantastic.
Absolutely.
And I'm so happy to
We
know you
did
guys.
did record this, and it will be posted so people can come and check it out later on too.
Yeah, fantastic job, both of you. Really, it was wonderful.
Right on.
It's
I moved.
I know.
All right, everybody. Have a good night.
Good night, everybody. We love you guys.
Thank you.
Bye. Bye, Zoe.
Take care now.
Bye.
I moved that we make